What is up, everybody? It's your boy, Legal Mindset here, Andrew Esquire. As I get everything kind of looped in today, my camera was at a weird angle. It was like slightly crooked, and it was just driving me absolutely nuts. So I was trying to fix that angle of the dangle over there and fight with that for the last couple minutes. You know, things always tend to pop up. But that being said, it's good to be here today with you. And appreciate all of you here in the chat today on the Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. Gonna have a fun one today talking. I'm gonna start by talking about Netflix and Netflix class action. Then I'm gonna talk about Star Wars and a sort of interesting legal analysis. It may be a little bit novel, but analyzing the new hiring of the Star Wars director from a negligent hiring standpoint. So from the framework of the legal framework of negligent hiring, and looking at what the criteria would be for negligent hiring, and then taking a look at the actual director, Star Wars in general, and how those things can kind of fit together in a weird way. When you look at the criteria versus her, there's a lot of catch on, and I'll talk about how that may play into a larger class action against Disney, because the class action against Disney isn't just going to be for one thing. It's going to be for many causes of action, many of which I'm kind of putting together here as we go. Is this live? Remember, for 5 months says, if you were any more late on a regular basis, people would think you are pregnant. Well, I sometimes am pregnant. With a massive truth bomb, baby. Thank you, Is This Live? Appreciate you in the chat. I love everybody out there, especially those busting my balls. It's absolutely great. Shout out to all the live emojis, the rats, the elves, all the emojis in the house. Appreciate that. You guys out there dropping the mad emojis. Also, special shout out to who I see is the number one. Let me make sure I'm on live chat here. I see it might be Don Baco. Hold on. Who is the number one poster today? No, it was Claire Trio, who I believe was Eclair Trio, who I believe was the first person I see in the chat posting, but might be wrong. But anyways, good to see everybody out here today on the interwebs for another stimulating episode. Also, I'm working on my Weeb Wednesday, so I'm debating whether it will be in the morning, so my evening, so like 12 hours from now or tomorrow. But there will be something for Weeb Wednesday. Also, I will be going on with Doomcock tomorrow. Now, I won't be on that show for very long. Maybe I'll be on there for like 2 hours ish. But if I don't do my Weeb Wednesday in Wednesday AM, it'll be Wednesday PM EST. So it's going to be one or the other. Of course, in Asia, we're already on Wednesday, so love living in the future here. Also, quick shout out to everybody over there on Rumble. Rumble always wants to try to fight with me over something. Today, it's the thumbnail, right? It just wants to use the old thumbnail instead of the one I tell it to use, which it's always a lovely challenge. But yeah, it should be fun to go on Doomcock because I have not been on there before. Just to have a casual conversation, talk about Disney litigation. We're going to talk about what's going on with my project, Seedy Creek, which, by the way, I do have an update, Seedy Creek update for you guys. So we'll talk about that in a second. But we're going to talk about what you can and can't do with public domain because there are certain things that would be trademarkable regarding Steamboat Willie, regarding Mickey Mouse. There are certain things that you still can't do. You couldn't you couldn't start, for example, a restaurant chain and use Mickey Mouse as the mascot for your restaurant chain. That would not work. They would stop you on a trademark basis for that. And I think they'd have a pretty good argument on that. Of course, I never like saying they would 100% win or 100% lose, but Disney would have a strong argument. And I give them that. Look, I give Disney credit where credit is due. If they're going to win a case, I'll say, yep, they would win that one. They would lose that one. So let's say you did start a restaurant chain and you used Mickey Mouse branding on all of your hamburgers, on your restaurants, on your signs, your billboards. You use that as your trademark. Yes, Disney is going to protect its own trademark to stop what it calls customer confusion, brand confusion. And I think they would win on that. Now, if it comes to something like art and you have a clear disclaimer, you have a very, very clear disclaimer, you're going to be all right. And I want to give a special shout out to everybody because we have hit 2,000 smackaroos on Seedy Creek, and we're getting new art day by day by day. It's rolling in, especially from my good friend, the Western Penman, who is the artist here. So I want to appreciate everybody that supported the project. Thank you so much for getting us to 2K. Really appreciate y'all. We've got 138 backers, which is absolutely amazing. So I just want to give a special thank you to you guys for funding this at 400% of what we initially expected. We just wanted it to be a fun, small project, but I appreciate that it's grown, and it's become something that's so much more. And because of that, we're going to make sure that we deliver more to you guys in terms of value, in terms of perhaps additional pages, cameos by other content creators. All of that is going to be thrown into the comic. And a big shout out to, like I said, Western Penman. You can find him on X, and actually let me show you real quick. I think he's put up some extra work here. So you can see here he's posting spoilers from Seedy Creek, and right here you've got some of the art here, Seedy Creek and the ship, which is the SS Public Domain, So we've got that going on there on his X. So you can follow him at Western Penman on Twitter, X, and you'll get some updates there. You can also DM him if you want him to do a commission after he's done with this project. So if you want to hit him up for some work, you can do that as well. All right, so let's get into the Netflix case. Now, the Netflix case is kind of interesting to me because it's a case in which there was a class action over essentially account sharing. Now, account sharing is an issue, let's say. However, the damage that account sharing does to a particular company or a particular show is very debatable. So if you remember, for example, Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones was one of the most shared, not on Netflix, on HBO, was one of the most shared properties out there, but perhaps the popularity of Game of Thrones was boosted by the account sharing, by more people seeing that property and then going out and buying DVDs, buying merchandise, buying HBO, licensed merch. People that went out and bought that were oftentimes people that pirated the actual episode. They were pirating the episode, or account sharing, which account sharing is effectively a form of piracy, but it actually helped HBO when they really looked at that and looked at those numbers. So it's something that's a little bit debatable when it comes to economic impact. So Netflix has now won through a motion to dismiss. They won a motion to dismiss, which is actually pretty awesome, to stave off a shareholder lawsuit over subscriber losses tied to account sharing. The suit says that the streamer was overly optimistic about its business prospects, despite it being aware of the impact account sharing would have on growth. So since it's dismissed, it's done, right? So procedurally, now that it's dismissed, it's done. There's no more to be done here. Case closed here. The order issued on January 5th found that investors failed to point to specific statements from Netflix executives demonstrating they had lied about the extent to which account sharing was hindering growth. Why I want to bring this up too is I want to bring this up because I am trying to build the case over a series of videos and a series of presentations for a class action against Disney. So what I'm trying to look at from a legal standpoint is what works in a class action and what does not work. And this is a very good case because Netflix is very analogous to Disney Plus, is very analogous to Disney. They've got a lot of IP. So what they're saying is, look, if this was Disney, we would have to find a lie. We would have to find where Disney lied about their growth. So, and it doesn't have to be specifically about account sharing. It just, if a Disney executive, Bob Iger, lied on the record about growth or about projections or about demographics, that could pass a motion to dismiss and could be a actionable claim that you could bring to court. And the goal is to get past this motion to dismiss, to bring them to court. That's the real key. Matrix says, love you, Andrew. May you forever be Disney's devil. Oh, absolutely. I am going down, down, down with these folks. We are going all the way because, listen, Disney day after day, week after week continues to have updates, continues to have things that will have legal ramifications or actual legal filings against them. It's really nuts. Really nuts. I will also show this here because we had somebody hitting me up. This is locals, so I want to show this real quick. Oh, hold on one second. Yeah, Rumble's deciding to try to like play in the background, which is always lovely. But over here on my locals, which shout out to my legalmindset.locals.com. Uncover Lamp for 5 says, is this live? Yes, it's live. Made this meme about the suit over public record. So, okay, let's see what we got here. Florida, we will finally hold Disney accountable for corruption. We will show the world proof of misappropriation, securities, fraud, and proper record keeping. Disney will then sue us for not providing the records they didn't properly keep. Disney will then sue us for not providing the records they didn't properly keep. It's true, though. It's pretty true. That's pretty accurate. Good one, Uncover Lamp. That one's actually really nice. MD says, let's get TSWG on here. But what we really need is a collab with PBD or the Nelk Boys. Let's make it happen. Yeah, the Star Wars girl. Yeah, she can come on anytime. Anna's always welcome on my channel. Every single time. Weird says they did lie. The Marvel Comeback franchise team lied about growth. Is that enough? Yeah, sure. If they lied on the record, if the executives have lied on the record, particularly on these calls. So remember all these calls that, Valiant Renegades getting people pumped up for these shareholder calls and all these other calls that they have on the record. Yeah, those calls are prima facie evidence. They just can enter in any of that information that they talk about on those calls is going to be entered into evidence in court. Easily. So all of that stuff they're saying on those calls, you can hold them to task on those statements. That's why those statements are so careful. That's why they sound like lawyer statements, because their lawyers indeed do review those statements because they can be sued. If they make a statement that we expect growth to be 50% on Disney Plus next year, they can be held to task on that. If they say, well, we expect to grow by 10 million subscribers, they can be held to task on that. Now, there can be other intervening factors that disrupt that. But if you can show that they knew that that was a lie and they actively lied about it, then you may have very much a cause of action for a shareholder suit against them. Weird said, oh yeah, so for example, if they lied about the growth for Marvel, then yeah, that could be a cause of action, right? That alone could be enough. But what you want to do is you want to make sure you throw everything together. You want to make sure that when you are coming for Disney, you throw everything against the wall. So going back to this suit, the suit revolves around Netflix, which for the first time in a decade is disclosing subscriber losses. So it wasn't disclosing its losses before. So it's just the first time, and now people get mad because it's the first time they're disclosing their losses. It attributed the shedding of roughly 200,000 users to a sluggish economy, increasingly stiff competition from other streaming platforms, and the war in Ukraine. Though it said in the shareholder letter that it could have gained 500,000 users if it hadn't suspended service to Russia. Guys, I want you to pay attention to this real quick. They could have gained 500,000 subscribers if there wasn't a war in Ukraine. How far are we going to go here? How far are we going to go here to prevent business, to lose money, right? We are paying money for a war in a place that most people don't even know where it is, don't know the provinces that the war is being fought in, probably don't even understand the language that is spoken there. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So Netflix's stock tumbled 35% with a forecast from the streamer that expected to lose another 2 million subs. The suit was from an investment trust in Texas that said that account sharing had an impact on growth. Shareholders alleged statements, among others, were misleading. That as we get past those initial market reopenings with COVID, they would have a stronger slate. They relied on the allegations attributed to former employees who said the company extensively monitored account sharing and knew the degree to which it would inhibit growth. The court concluded that statements from the ex-workers didn't provide enough evidence that Netflix made false statements. False statements. Tiger stressed the former employees didn't disclose what was specifically discussed and by who. While the suit cites Netflix former director of program management, stating the company often discussed password sharing during his tenure, he failed to specify what was allegedly discussed regarding account sharing, other than any efforts to restrict it would be paused in early 2020. So, without more, the allegations do not establish at what level Netflix monitored account sharing during the class period, or the defendants were aware of the extent of the account sharing problem. So, what we see here from a legal standpoint, before we get into the Disney stuff, what we see from Netflix from their class action is awareness. You need to show that they knew. You need to show knowledge. You need to show that we knew this was going to cause a result. We had the data, and we did it anyways. So this ties very, very, very neatly for me. It ties very neatly with Star Wars and the thoughts about Star Wars. So I want to get into some background here before we go anywhere crazy here on who is the new Star Wars director. What is she about? Let's get in some basic facts about her. Okay, so she is a very, very well-known Miss Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. She is a fairly well-known activist, right, in the activism circle, who started her career not even as a filmmaker, but just in political science, kind of the general washout, kind of the general college washout path of, okay, I just took political science, don't know really what I'm doing, and just segued into creating documentaries, which have been approved of by Hollywood. And I think one of the biggest things here that they tout is the awards that she's won. And I want to just show you guys that real quick. So Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, she won, right, the Los Angeles Independent Film Festival Awards, the Hollywood International Independent Documentary Awards, the American Short Film Award, the Broadcast Journalist of the Year Award, and she was in Time Magazine's 100 Most Influential People in 2012, and she was the first female director to have won 2 Academy Awards by 37 for documentaries and news. And international Emmy. So she's got those awards. But to me, when I look at that, first of all, there's 2 things which I think about awards. Number one, the awards process has always been divorced from profitability. There's not a neat tie between winning any of these awards, any of them, and necessary profitability and creating a profitable franchise. As a stakeholder, as a shareholder, my interest is in the company being profitable, in the film making money. And further beyond that, so let's say, okay, there is no nexus, there's no tie between winning an award and making money in the box office. Those things aren't necessarily one-to-one. Those aren't apples to apples. So that's point number one. Point number two is that what category are all of these in? All of these are in a very specific category. They're documentaries. They're news. They are not science fiction, right? So her documentaries, Saving Face, Song of Lahore, and Girl in the River, all are documentaries. The only other project she had is, look right here, 2 episodes of Miss Marvel. And I actually didn't look this up. I now want to look this up. Let me type this in here. So viewership numbers, episode 5, Miss Marvel. I want to see if we can get some viewership numbers for this episode. Let's see. Do we have any viewership numbers? We really don't have anything on that specific episode. So you've got stuff on Miss Marvel as a whole, but you don't have anything on that specific episode. I'm not finding anything on those specific episodes, but what I'm trying to say is it's Miss Marvel. It's something that was not that big, that was relative trash, and she just did 2 episodes. Not really much where she's been in the helm in the creative control for the entire series, for the entire thing, and certainly not in a feature film context. So my point here is I don't think she has the experience in this realm. Look, we can all make fun of Jar Jar Abrams, and there's a lot of problems with Jar Jar Abrams. But that being said, at least he's in the field or area. So you could say, okay, he's a bad director, don't like him, but he's in that field or area. But you're literally taking somebody that is not in that area and shoving them into an area where they don't have any experience in a major feature film, science fiction, even fantasy, anything really fictional. She doesn't have that experience at all whatsoever. Therefore, I mean, to me, that's the same thing from a hiring standpoint, from a legal standpoint. That would be the same thing as hiring a baker to be a bartender. It's okay. Yeah. Maybe like they both work in like a restaurant or a general food complex, but they're 2 different things, the baker and the bartender. Maybe they work for the same company, right? But that doesn't make it okay to put them on a different role. Eclipse Warlord says, why do activists have such an on-the-nose sounding name? Charmine Bitchinoy. Disney must have a list for that. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do it specifically to trigger you. Specifically you, Eclipse. Specifically you. But no, I think Disney knows what they're doing here, and that's the whole problem, is they know what they're doing. Weird says she's making Iger uncomfortable. Well, let's play that clip. So for those that haven't seen this, and I know that most of you have seen this, so bear with me if you have seen this. This is the Jon Stewart clip. It is a little bit longer than what you may have seen. You may have just seen like a couple of seconds. So I'm going to share this over here. This is the interview with Jon Stewart, where she made her famous statement on making men uncomfortable. And I want you guys to hear what a cuck Jon Stewart is, because I think that's very much an important part of this. Let's play this out.
What is the balance of activating a force for change, but also trying to permeate that patriarchy, that power structure? And is that a part of the calculation of your art as well? And what's been the reaction to that?
Okay, so just real quick, Jon Stewart is an absolute bitch. With that being said, and this is just disgusting sniveling. This is the type of, and look at his body language, and then watch his posture after this, where he keeps his head down, and he's just, it's just sad. It's real sad. I remember when I used to love Jon Stewart back in the day when I was a kid, when I was very young, 18 or something like that. But as soon as I got a couple more brain cells and I grew out of my college stupidity, everybody makes mistakes. My mistake was listening to Jon Stewart and voting for Obama the first time. But and when I grew up, I learned, wait a second, this guy does not know what he's talking about, and he's increasingly unhinged. This is certainly some unhinged and sad behavior. So he's asking this to Charmine. Charmine is the one on the end here. So listen to her response
to that.
Oh, absolutely. I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable.
So there you go. There's the line, in case you guys haven't heard it, that she puts out here that she enjoys making men uncomfortable. She likes making men uncomfortable. It's her thing. Let's listen to a couple more seconds.
Not you, just not you.
Look how he keeps his head down. I love it. See, he keeps his head down. It's so sad. I feel bad for him.
Not you.
Point taken. Point taken.
But, it is important to be able to look into the eyes of a man and say, I am here, and recognize that. And recognize that I am working to bring something that makes you uncomfortable, and it should make you uncomfortable because you need to change your attitude. And it's only when you're uncomfortable, when you're shifty, when you have to have difficult conversations, that you will perhaps look at yourself in the mirror and not like the reflection, and then say, maybe there is something wrong with the way I think, or maybe there is something wrong with the way I am addressing this issue.
So it's pretty much guaranteeing there anything that she does, she is going to try to force that in there and going to try to put that in there. Essentially, for a person who spent so much time fighting Sharia, right? It sounds like she's trying to enforce feminist Sharia to me. It's like, coming out of Sharia, you're putting a different version of Sharia. It's feminist Sharia, right? You're forcing it onto other people. Isn't that what we're supposed to escape? Isn't that what she's supposed to promote, is not forcing things like that? But yet now we're forced into this weird world of activist Sharia. It's a bizarre mindset. It's a really bizarre mindset. And how they don't see that parallel of you're doing the thing that you said was wrong. You're doing the thing of the people you criticize. The people that you want to be morally superior, you are stooping to their level by doing that. But she said straight up that that is what she's going to do. Here is my quintessential problem with that, and kind of my thesis today. Weird says hear the seals clap. Oh, it's so horrible. It's so horrible to hear all those, yes men and NPCs clapping. But speaking of clapping, though, you guys can smash the like button here. We're almost at 400 people with 177 likes. Let's get 33 more. Let's get up to 200 likes here tonight. But that said, so she said she likes to have men being uncomfortable. Here's the problem. The biggest problem for me with this is, when you look at what's going on, with Star Wars, you can see this is a fool's errand, because Star Wars, especially amongst the avid fans, and this is 2019 numbers, not 2023, 2019. So almost double of the avid fans, those are people that are rabid fans of Star Wars, are male. Light blue is male, dark blue is female, okay? Almost double are men, okay, of avid fans. Casuals, still more men. Not fans, by and large, women. Women are by and large not fans of Star Wars. And when you break that down even further, because you can go even deeper in the data, and I want to give a big shout out to, I believe, Data Racer on X, who brought this up, I think, a while ago, but I want to bring it up again here. So this is the consumer demographics. Star Wars has a demographic problem there, right? The core fan base is male, 35 to 44. Yet Lucasfilm's new target audience is women under 24. They want to target young women. Those are two categories. If you look at the pure data, it is predominantly male and predominantly 35 to 44. But instead, they want to target to literally the lowest demographic. They want to target to the smallest number of people. This is not something I am making up here, other than 65 plus, because, well, they're dying, right? Shout out to my old folks. I love you guys. But like you're generationally, smaller, and, being reduced as a generation. So, I mean, that's a thing, right? But you have 24, under 24 females, which is what they're marketing to, which are the smallest other than extremely old folks. Actually, 65 is kind of the new 50. So let's say, other than 65 plus, I'll be respectful. Be respectful here. But 25, under 24 is what they want to go for. By the way, it's smarter to market to older folks, to people that are 35, 45, 55, 65, because we have more money. People that are older tend to have money. People that are young don't have disposable income. They can't buy swag. They can't drop 20 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much. Is This Live? Appreciate you, homie, helping out everybody else in the chat. And by the way, Popcorn Power, Natasha, Sigmund, Lily, Iron James Kid, Dromond. Let's see what's here. Bama Girl, BOC, SWU. Let's see who else got it here. I think that's about it. Ryan Lynn, Ice Cold Wolf, Kathy Schott, Barbara Kincaid, and Cyrus say thank you to Is This Live, because he just hooked you up big time. So say thank you to Is This Live for that and coming through big time. MD says top 3 most uncomfortable things about Disney. MD, I'm going to save this, okay? This is a good one. This is a good one, my friend. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. I think I know which MD this is. All right. But I'm going to save that one because I think that's a good question for a little bit later. So I'm going to chomp into that one in a second later. But all right. You've got a demographic problem. So this is what I'm saying, guys. When we looked at the Netflix class action lawsuit, what we had to look at is, are you doing something knowing it's going to damage your company? So Disney, which owns Lucasfilm, decided to hire this woman. They made a choice to hire this woman. They know the demographics. It's not like Disney doesn't know this. It's not like this is a secret from Disney. This is public. If you go anywhere, it is publicly available data, which is out there on the consumer demographics for Star Wars. They know that their primary demographic is men. They know this, and they're doing what they're doing anyways. They're hiring Charmine, the activist, who wants to make Mando make them uncomfortable. They're hiring them anyways. So when I was looking at this, and you can see this guy's pretty clearly here, I found a pretty good explanation of what negligent hiring is. So I just want you guys to pay attention on what negligent hiring is. Just pay attention here. So a negligent hiring claim is brought against the business when an injury occurs due to a company's failure to properly screen employees to perform job duties. So this most commonly comes up, negligent hiring most commonly comes up when, let's say, an employee is a criminal. So let's say they beat somebody up. Let's say they sexually assault somebody. Let's say they injure somebody. Typically, it's when they don't look into their criminal background. But the elements of it, the elements of negligent hiring are actually broader than just criminal. If you look into what's negligent hiring, you can see a business has a duty to hire employees who are competent. The key word here is competent. Is it competent if this woman has never done a major feature film, has never done science fiction, has never touched anything that looks like on the scale, even close to Star Wars? Is that competent? Is it competent if she tells you she is going to attack the primary viewer base of Star Wars? She is going to shame them. She is going to make them feel uncomfortable. Is that competent for the job? And then, of course, the other elements are breaching that duty of competency. There's an injury. The injury to a shareholder would be the value of Disney stock, the value of the company, the returns of the movie. Those that invest in the movie, forget the shareholders. So let's actually forget the shareholders for a second. How about the people investing in the movie? Remember the TSG lawsuit, against Disney? Well, TSG, to the extent that they'd be investing in a movie like Star Wars, like the future Rey movie, they could say, you are wasting our money. This is a misuse of our investment funds. So you are breaching your duty to make money with our investment. Therefore, they have a breach. You had a duty to not actively undermine our contract, to try to make money with this film. And you knew you were going to lose anyways. That could be perceived under a negligent hiring viewpoint from a legal standpoint. Natasha says that broad needs to take that attitude back to the sandbox of one of insert other names of stands where women actually have no rights. Yeah, if she goes to Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, wherever else, she wouldn't do it. She does it from the safety of Canada. You know, she is Canadian, right? She is a Canadian, which, by the way, I love my base Canadians. And actually over here, you guys know I live in Asia. I live in Bangkok. I'm actually really close friends with a lot of Canadians. And actually, you know what? I'm going to spill some tea on Canada real quick. Your boy may or may not have certain, let's call them connections, and may or may not have heard about a lot of what Canada does here. And I want to just make something real quick. Canada goes out of their way to say they're righteous and just, but you know what Canada does abroad? They hide the criminal backgrounds of their citizens, of Canadians that are committing crimes abroad, right? So these people go and commit a crime abroad. Let's say they assault somebody. They're hiding their information from the local police, right? Because they don't want them to know, because some of the things that they've done, like drug crimes, would result in serious punishment in most countries of the world. Certainly in most of Asia, the Middle East, would result in serious time. But they're allowing these folks to run around without disclosing who they are or what they are. Canada does a crazy job of hiding the criminality of people. It actually is kind of disgusting, the level to which they do it. And beyond that, they try to push them into the United States, which to me, like learning that they try to send them there because we actually in some states punish people is nuts. It's just nuts to me. More Kate C, aka Snake Plush Kitten, says more like femeria, feminist diarrhea. Yes. Death Angel Shadow, I'm going to get to yours in a second because it's a good segue for me. So Death Angel Shadow, I'll get back to you in a second. And then Weird for 5 says, she chose the worst platform. Every nerd is going to be shifting through her entire existence, and she must have a lot of dirt on her. And she said a lot of extreme things. And she said a lot of things that are anti-male. And when you have a primarily male demographic, that is, I think, a case for negligent hiring. So what I'm going to say is, I'm going to say that this is an element of what may be a class action. And I know I've talked about this, but what I want to do is I want to put together a lot of these claims into one master video on here's the total class action with all the claims, right? So this is my one video to talk about just one cause of action, one particular claim for the destruction of Star Wars. And I think it's going to be just a mega stream or a mega video where we go off like of the true class action, just putting that together. You know, I might even try to like write it out, right? Not the whole thing, but some basic stuff. That's what's coming. That's what I'm trying to build up to here, because there's so much going on. And I want to make it easy for people to go and bring a case against Bob Iger, not just to talk about it, but to actually do the work. So I am trying to build up to this over time. Baldo Gagger says, you're going to spill some tea, then delete the video in 5 hours. JK just spoke. Oh, that's funny. I don't know. Did I ever do that? Maybe I did that way back in the day. But look, I try not to delete videos. I really don't. So I know other folks will, whatever. It's their channels. They can do whatever they want. But I try to keep everything up. Unless there's something that like is going to get me in trouble with YouTube or get my channel like taken down or something. But unless there's something on that level, then I'm not going to delete a video. Death Angel Sato said, announced Mando/Grogu movie first, damage control. So this is what I want to get to right here. So they've got this announced just now The day after that announcement, right? They bring this up. Actually, hold on one second, guys. I'm going to open this in Brave because I really hate all of the ads. The ads are just too much, are just absolutely too much here. So after all of this happens, the day after all of this goes down with her, they immediately announce The Mandalorian and Grogu with Jon Favreau. So they're trying to hide this under a man, if you can call Favreau that. They're trying to hide this behind Grogu, which is their tactic. Star Wars has literally become hiding behind their cute character. So they just make a cute character and they milk it. This is pathetic. They did it with the Porgs. They're trying to do it with Grogu. And by the way, the Porgs didn't really fly. The Porgs weren't, that's kind of ironic. The Porgs really didn't get them that far. But they try to hide behind the cute character, and that's pretty much all they've got at this point, is the character. And they milk it till people stop caring about Grogu anymore, especially since they kind of ruined the plot with Grogu. So they dropped that it's the first Star Wars movie in the works, and that they're going to produce it with Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni. So, of course, KK, this whole talk about a woman not being involved and Charmin being the first woman, well, clearly KK is on the case with that because KK has been involved in all of this. So what I think this announcement was to hide the backlash they were getting over Charmin and to keep people from digging into Charmin. And I also will look at how they tried to defend her. So I looked at various simp articles. I found a simp article here from Comic Book Movie. Let me go back to that right here. This is from comicbookmovie.com, but there's many simp articles that says, new Jedi Order director accused of ruining franchise with so-called, I like how they put so-called woke agenda. How is it so-called if she literally tells you she's going to put activism in everything she does? It's not so-called. It's actual. She says she's an activist. She tells you that she puts activism in everything. She said she's going to put activism in Star Wars. So how is it at all a so-called? It's an actual. But what they're accusing people of having problems with was this statement right here. So they're accusing people of having a problem with Charmin saying this. I'm very thrilled about the project because I feel what we're about to create is something very special. We're in 2024 now, and it's about time we had a woman come forward and shape a story in a galaxy far, far away. So everybody says, oh, the problem, look at this right here. The usual suspects have zeroed in on what she said about being a woman, claiming the franchise has fallen victim to woke, a word which loses more and more of its meaning every time it's used, agenda. See, these people clearly, and I believe this is written by Josh over here, beta male Josh, who is trying to diffuse this, saying that her abilities as a filmmaker have been called into question, while comments from 8 years ago, when she talked about making men uncomfortable, have been talked completely out of context and twisted to fit a narrative which paints her as some sort of deranged feminist out to destroy Star Wars. Okay. When she says that she does something and she does it in every single film, you should trust and believe that she does that. I think that's a relevant comment. And many of her comments that have been quoted, because that's not the only comment, have been closer to date, have been very much closer to date. So just so you know, a lot of these statements have become closer in time, not just 8 years ago. And Deha says right here, the fact that she won awards from no-name film festivals, it says a lot. Her hiring by Disney is indicative of a ruling class holding the masses in contempt. They think they are better than you, and they think they know what you like better than you. They think they know your favorite things better than you. They think you know your hobbies better than you. And that's the hubris of Disney. Death Angel Saddle said, porgs are food, not friends. I would 100% eat a porg. I would 100% skewer and eat a porg. I think porg would do very well, maybe with like some gochujang sauce or maybe some, I don't know, some little spicy. I want to kick up that porg. I want to add some like spice to the porg. I want to spice up that porg. Can you do a reaction stream to the Ray movie? Maybe when the trailer comes out. When the trailer comes out, I'll do a reaction stream to it for sure. It's not out yet. Obviously, it's not even, in development yet, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. This movie is going to happen. So yeah, I'll definitely react to it for sure. When the trailer drops, yeah, I'll react to it. No problem. No problem. Now let me get back to this one from earlier. MT said, top 3 most uncomfortable things about Disney. Top 3 things. Number 1, they're tanking their IP. We see right here. They're tanking their IP with Star Wars, with Marvel. This woman also got involved in Marvel. What did she do for Miss Marvel? Not really much. So they're tanking their biggest IP. That's number 1. Number 2, they are heavily investing in China. I think that should really concern everybody, that they put so much eggs and trust in the Chi-Com basket, which actually leads me to believe that a lot of their ties there are in their control is being dictated by China, because the majority of their money and investments, particularly their future investments, if you look at their plan for future investments over the next 10, 20 years, they're putting the majority of their funds into China. So that would make me very, very uncomfortable as a person, as an American who's investing in this country, or anybody who believes in the rule of law, free trade, because obviously when you've got the Communist Party of China controlling the purse strings of Disney and controlling a huge part of their profitability, yeah, that's very uncomfortable. Number 3 is Reedy Creek and the parks in Orlando. I think they're absolutely doing what is worst for those parks. Those are their crown jewel. And I think when criminal charges come, it's going to be epic. It's going to be massive. But even if, let's pretend in a world where there's never a criminal charge, they're still going to have to pay millions, which is going to ultimately be billions over decades in taxes and fees to the county, to Reedy Creek, or now the CFTOD, the successor to Reedy Creek. And that is going to be a huge change in the profitability of Walt Disney World. So if they do not shape up there and make it more efficient, make it better, and not just jack up the price without delivering any additional value, they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it. Disney, I don't think, survives as a very expensive service that only caters to Disney adults. Because I think Disney adults, another thing is, I don't think Disney adults are going to be sustainable forever. I think Disney adults as a demographic only work in a time in which we have a lot of surplus of funds, where belts aren't tightened. When belts are tightened, the first thing that's going is Disney. And I think that Disney adults and their ridiculous amount of funds they spend on Mickey ears and special events and cupcakes and pins, that money is going to fall by the wayside when times get tough. And I guarantee you in the future, times will get tough. So Disney has put itself in a bad position. Instead of positioning itself as a family place, the other thing they're losing with Disney adults is they're losing the next generation. And so kids will not grow up with Disney because Disney adults do not have children. In fact, if you look at the demographics, especially on the childless rate, the demographic that they are catering to is heavily childless. So they are not going to have that next generation, and they're going to peter out before we hit the year, 2200, or sorry, 2100, whatever, right? They're going to peter out before we get into the next 100 years, which is sad, because as a person who grew up with Disney, I imagine they would always be around. I imagine they'd be around for the next 500 years. But you can see Disney dying in the next decades. Let's see here. I think I got all of the chats in the house today. Cool. I want to do, because it's been a while, I want to do a legalmindset.locals.com. So for my locals people, I want to do a exclusive live now. So I'm going to wrap it here, guys. Make sure you've subscribed. We are almost at 1,000. We're almost hitting 105,000. So make sure to subscribe, make sure you hit that like button, but head over to locals or check out for your locals notifications, because I'm going to do an exclusive live there, just kind of off the cuff and casual, because it's been a while since I hung out with all you guys and just had an unscripted conversation. So we're going to head over there. Weird also says, please see 40K armoring a Space Marine in the Astartes video. Quit Disney Warhammer is a next franchise. No, I'm going to cover Warhammer. Weird, don't worry. I love Warhammer. I love the Warhammer books. I'm going to cover Warhammer, bro. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I'm going to be covering that as well. So don't worry. All your favorite stuff, and including too, by the way, Weeb stuff, my Weebs, Weeb Wednesday will happen. I'm not sure about the time, but it will happen. We're going to talk about some of the good stuff that I've been into, and also some of the controversies out there on the interwebs. Until then, guys, take care. Stay based. Peace.